Hey everybody, welcome to Freedom Talk. I'm pleased to welcome a guest here. She's a great mom, but she's been through quite a lot as a targeted parent. Alexandra Lyashchenko, welcome to Freedom Talk.
Thank you so much, Kelly Jason. Thank you. It's such an honor to be here with you. Thank you, everybody, for logging on.
Yeah, well, the honor's mine. Those parents who've really gone through a lot over the past 5 years or so, and I know there are others that have experienced things before this, but things really came to a head with the Biden administration
Oh,
actively promoting weaponization against parents who dissent at schools and school board meetings, and for people who have opposed some of these agendas that were brought into the school, starting with COVID policies that were driving kids to suicide,
oh,
onto CRT and LGBTQ and transgender. And that's where we get into your story, as I understand it. I know we just met. I'm really I'm saddened and shocked, and I've seen a lot of stories, and each time, like talking to you, it's just my heart goes out to you. But also, I see that you're a fighter, and we need fighters. So I just want to open it up and ask you to hit the high points of your story, and then we can see where we go from here and how we try to help.
thank you. But do please interrupt me because I can go on for hours. This
Yeah.
is such a long Golgotha. It's such a long story. It started 19 years ago, our immigration. We are legal Ukrainian immigrants immigrating from Ukraine, from post-Soviet Ukraine, all these entailing, hungry 90s, corruption, but far from what we are eyewitnessing right now. Arrived to Boston area, Massachusetts, state of Massachusetts, and started building our nest with hopes for the real brighter future we never had in Soviet Union but were promised. We had a USCIS process legally and correctly, never broke any rules, any laws. Our pretty, vivacious, hyperactive girl, not a tomboy, appeared in Kiev. I had to go and deliver her in Kiev for financial reasons. We were a young family and it was hard. We wanted to do things legally, so I delivered her. We came back. Dad only started building his career, and she went to a public school in in a little town, Neck Woods, called Maynard, Massachusetts, where she went through severe bullying in the first and second grade, and that resulted in onset of early puberty. 10 years of age, she started her first period. I was pregnant at the time with my son, and we started, immediately defending her, even filed a private lawsuit, ran from district to district because that one did not offer a school choice. Elizabeth Warren's reign is still reigning. So we went through stalking, through following by police, through 911. I had DCF experience, but they called and cleared things up because my daughter even was homicidal and suicidal at times. She was swinging paper cutter. She
Mm.
wanted to kill my son and myself. It's such a horrible chunk of time. I'm just, telling you, but I thought that that was a nightmare. But those were little flowers and not berries as we use in Russian and Ukrainian. That was the start of it.
And what years were those?
That's the critical years of her being bullied, this first and second grade. That's 16 and 17. My son was born in the year of 17.
So was she bullied because she was different, because she's of Ukrainian ancestry, or what seemed to be the focus of the bullying? And believe me, I went to public schools. I experienced it myself. I
Me
tried to help
too. Me too.
my eldest
Me
sons
too.
who went into public school. My youngest three, we've been homeschooling and
Yeah,
sent
of course.
our oldest of the three to a classical school. But yeah, I understand that. But what was there any basis for the bullying that you can think of?
even up till we moved her from a district and even went to Office of Education and filed to Office of Education. We didn't know, but we think it's hyperactivity because and we didn't know anything. Ukraine, post-Soviet Ukraine, like a young country, psychology as a science was only developing. We didn't know these alphabetic, abbreviated disorders. We only we saw horrible documentaries from Sakharov, the punitive psychiatry. That's all we knew. We knew nothing. It's right now. It's flourishing. It's the same. And televisits and even indoctrination. I'm hearing. It's scary. So it wasn't there. We didn't know anything. So she probably was an inconvenient student. Hyperactive, like dancing in the hallways. Maybe running down the hallway and colliding, her forehead with another a privileged student that was abundant of SPED. Now I know what SPED means, and maybe she should have been, but the school never addressed. Her teachers were just penalizing her for that. Instead of saying, Mom, Dad, let's just get her tested. Let's address those. We see you're immigrants, and we didn't know anybody. There was no community at that town. We knew we were just surviving. We have no family. I buried my parents one by other. They were dying. The year of 12 and 11 both died one by one, and the cancer, and my daddy was heartbroken. We just bought our home. We got natural life. It was such pleasure, but saddened by these events. So we were like always engrossed in the turmoil of problems. Followed my husband's job because it feeds us. Followed our kids' problems because this is what we were supposed to do, and we didn't know those things. So they just penalized her, and they
So
just
maybe
told me, and
maybe some of the behavior was because of family stresses and things that you went through. I know kids are affected by that. And may I ask why you came to the U.S.? Were you under some sort of persecution? I'm trying to remember when the conflict with Russia started, but what? And you had told me too that you didn't come from a former Soviet Union country to experience what you have here in the United States.
Right.
So did you come here seeking solace and refuge?
No, we came 2007 after Soviet Union collapsed, year of 1991. Some families did better. Some families did worse when the new country just started budding its life, Ukraine. So new currency. We had empty shelves. We had hungry 90s, like I mentioned before. So we did a little better because my parents, had higher education. They were teachers in a medical school. My father was an interpreter in Cuba, so I was born in Cuba.
Oh, wow.
But then the years came back. He actually translated for Raul. We have pictures, and he wearing the Spanish uniform and all these, souvenirs, machete, and all this, and language. I love Cuba Libre. I love it. But yes, it was a different side of it as well. So it was romanticism. My husband's family did worse. They were really hungry and poor, pardon me. So they had to go out in the street even to sell their personal belongings to get a loaf of bread for a day or two. So this guy also in my cell went through bullying and hungry. So he swore to himself he wants to sell his talent, his head, and his IT guy like Elon Musk, talented computer guy. And he said he swore to himself that his children and himself would never have to starve, and he wanted to provide for a good home, sweet home, and he just wanted a better life and really a brighter future.
Yeah, that's very understandable. So you ended up moving to California, Shasta County, is that correct?
After the mafia in Massachusetts showed us there is no chance, and things gotten, we flew like we fled from school district to school district. We started selling property by property because we're financially liable, and it's not just you jumpstart and run somewhere. but it didn't work. The neighboring superintendents, they know each other, you know, the greasy palm greases palm. So, yeah. Things gotten really offhand, and our daughter began, like I said, to be very manipulative. Her probably ODD started showing up. We didn't know anything about. Nobody helped us. They only played along with her being manipulative, defiant, auto-aggression, you know, and you know, even that hospitalization put on her on Prozac. Come on, Prozac made her even more aggressive, like SSRIs, right? The recent scandal. Now we know what happened in Biden administration and Obama's administration. It's horrible how America, you know, overdid with drugs. So things gotten really offhand, out of control. I took my kids and I needed a breath of fresh air. We went to Ukraine for the COVID times. We got stuck during the lockdown, and she went on Discord for friends. Discord. And maybe, I don't know. From that, it didn't sound any alarming things. She seemed to be playing on Nintendo and Minecraft and Roblox servers. It sounded like a friendship chat and talk. So when borders reopened, Daddy said, "No, I'm still not going to Ukraine because already Crimea was annexed and there was a war. So my husband could simply be drafted to war." That's the year of 2020. So we picked up Daddy, some leftover things in Boston area, and he found a new job in San Francisco by remote in a bank. And again, we didn't know nothing. It was COVID, it was lockdown. We rented a townhouse in Bay Area called Dublin. That was a transition time. My daughter was opening up. She was taking a walks along the town. She was trying to make friends. Beautiful blonde girl, 5'7", you know, long legs, probably could be a model, but the money was scarce and it was expensive. Bay Area, not good place. So my husband went on Zillow and found this beautiful, beautiful villa, I would say, home, something he would never probably even dream about, like the shed, which is an ADU, a hobbit house, patio, two man-made waterfalls, you know, terrace, lots of acres to plant fruit and flower trees, which I did. Like, whatever you need, my dear baby teen girl, enjoy your freedom, your independence. Well, we went immediately through a phone fire. That's the biggest fire that Reading knew after, I don't know, the car fire or something. That's the area where we landed. So our house made it. It was a stucco built by engineers, great home. We cleaned it up right before and after the fire. So we got off like a couple of scratches. And she immediately went to look for answers online. Why was she bullied? And she was asking, "Mama, I need to be answered. Maybe I'm ADHD. Maybe I'm this." Because yeah, it's a natural question. And she's a smart girl, and she was always like a straight plus student. These kids are very talented, but you know, they lag behind social emotionally. And she asked to be tested. And my problem and my husband's problem that we are liberal in a very good meaning. We honored and respected her needs, her privacy, her desires, and that's two reasons. She wanted to find the answer. So we went to her PCP, and they sent a referral to a psychologist from Reading, and she got confirmed from PTSD, naturally from bullying, ODD, ADHD, MDD, anxiety, and depression. A few months later, when right now a full-scale invasion of Russian war erupted, she also asked to be tested for borderline, which is BPD, and again she met the criteria. I don't know why she asked for it. Maybe somebody online suggested, but the year of 2022, we engrossed in helping Ukraine. My husband brought drones to Poland. He got even awarded by the General Zaluzhny with his certificate of honor. So we are pretty respected family. And if you Google Lyashchenko, Reading, you'll see lots of local media covering our help. our help to Ukraine, our assistance. We financed 4 or 5 containers, 8K worth of medical equipment sent from Chico, California. So we are a respectable family. And who knew that one day this plane would come, but we are not there yet. Her desire to forget her past name, maybe online suggested, and she came up with a unisex name, and her beautiful long hair became bob, and then shorter. And then one day she says, Mama, I want lithium to combat my being on edge, my negativity, my autoaggression, she had horrible swings of mood, like bipolar, but that's borderline. And we went to this clinic called Mercy, where we went for visits. And they say, we have a new psychiatrist. You're going to love her. She's Dr. Sager, and she very emotional. She's very loud. She will build a great rapport with your daughter. It happened. But something else happened. She started indoctrinating my daughter. They kicked me out at some point from her office. My second mistake, I said no to my daughter, and that I said I was afraid of the previous DCF, like calls and jittery. I didn't want to be regarded as an incooperative and neglectful parent, and I left. I trusted this charlatan, as I call her. And at the same time, that's March 2023, my daughter finds a LGBTQ server on Discord after Sager self-referred to an NGO, CLC in Reading. So after hospital, she saw us for a few appointments, then they kicked me out. It's Children's Legacy Center, roofed by the elite superintendent, DA, police chief officer, chief sheriff, who else not? And I trusted. And then eventually she even started treating me for my anxiety, because all we went through ended up, resulted in my not severe, but anxiety. And my sons entering the kindergarten also reverberated my daughter's behavioral. So that was like a lot of overwhelming. And again, I trusted her, but she treated me horribly. She tried 5 different psychotropes. They made me into a veggie. And eventually I said, no, I just cannot take that anymore.
Yeah.
2024. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I remarried 15 years ago, and my wife, Andrea, and I have had 3 children together. Of course, she loves my older sons. And I told you earlier that both of them stopped speaking to me for a while after I was attacked by the media and the crooked Pima County. and now we come to find out Merrick Garland and the feds. But my older sons, because of some of their mother's choices, were put into that counseling culture, and it was pretty horrific, and they will ask you at times, well, you need to exit the room, and I'm like, no, I'm the parent. And they have this and this was in Oregon, so very left wing state, but in Bend, which used to be conservative, but they have this idea that you're kind of there to help the school and the counselors. They're the ones that really take care of your kids. And that didn't help. That didn't help things at all. And I fought to get them out of that over-medicated counseling culture. And I don't mind. I think some medications are great, even like anti-anxiety medications that can be helpful. But unfortunately, yes, a lot of people do end up being vegetables. And kids who are very, very active and inquisitive sometimes are given Ritalin. But your story is it's just getting worse, and so eventually this led to, for you, the state getting involved in child protective services, correct?
I want to let you know, Kelly, that Russian and Ukrainian languages, that is our fundamental principle from day one. Our both children were born, we speak exclusively our languages. They're very similar, Russian and Ukrainian, like Portuguese and Spanish, but they're very, very gendered. So predicates, like verbs, right? They, especially in the past. So if I go and ask my daughter, did you have breakfast today, honey? I have to say in Russian, as a girl and as a boy, so the gendered ending. Can you imagine? I accommodated myself to such extent to make this phase pass, you know, in a less turbulent way. As a normal parent, I tried to accommodate her. So I went with a unisex name. She was demanding to have it changed in court, but my son's behavioral issues and, you know, this 2023 and then war, like everything. And we don't have family. We have hardly any, we never had any, enjoyed any governmental benefits. Nothing. We always did things. We helped others. We did things by ourselves. So I just was, you know, my husband works day and night like a slave, and I'm doing things, you know, for the children, for the family. You had to basically grocery shop, clean, you know, cook and everything, and do the school and medical appointments. It was just me. I'm like, baby, I cannot go to court right now because this is just, I'm not in a position. So she says, she goes, okay, I'll wait till 18. But who knew that they with Sager, they were conspiring. And the year of 2024 was marked with severe estrangement. My daughter stopped joining dinners and celebrations of New Year's and Christmas and go to Mount Shasta. You know, we are neighbors. We were neighbors. Mount Shasta and Lassen to go snow tubing, right? So she stopped doing that. And in like a few weeks before removal, Sager filed on May 29th, 2024, 2 years ago. My daughter tried to separate me and daddy and talk us into signing testosterone consent separately at different times in different places. And when we say we want you to focus on your career, your health, your studies, you know, you're getting driver's license and getting a volunteer job. We had such Napoleonic plans for her, but she said no. You know, you could see how far, how distant she was. And probably she told Sager, they filed, and 4 days later, a social worker with no due process, no court paperwork, no even badge ID, no LA officer comes to our porch as a solicitor, hides her car in the distance from the terrace, from the porch where I was initially speaking with her. She came as a solicitor. She took our daughter because our daughter had been expecting her. She had been indoctrinated, waiting, almost packed, and left barefoot to join her in her car. And then she called 8 cops. My husband had her call 8 cops. Police and 8 cops came to pick up one single child from emotional abusers.
Gosh. So how much of this do you attribute this to the schools, to the counselors, to the caseworkers? Do you feel like, you know, the term grooming is used, or did they steer her in a direction based on the transgender ideology?
It's a multi-layered case. It's everything, Kelly. So she went to share a bed and bedroom with her classmate, whose stepfather, Albert, is a public person. He ran for supervisor seat a couple of years ago. He is a Columbia School Board member of the district that finances Phoenix Charter Academy, where my daughter went. So she was roomed and bedded with his stepson. She, then innocent 15-year-old girl, started to be prescribed birth control 3 months later. That's not even 16th birthday. 9 months later, she took a pregnancy test. Nobody even told us about. Our private family insurance claims speak about it. And then she also had an urgent care visit 10 months later, or maybe 9.5 months later, to a female health sexual clinic. That's after Judge Bigelow, February 3rd, 2025, removed non-existent all emotional abuse allegations. She still kept the jurisdiction. She did not give our daughter back to us, allegedly because our daughter is so rebellious and incooperative. But she was just alienated by the Glitter foster care, by the entire CPS team, by the judge who on record calls her a male name and uses male pronouns. I have transcripts, and I was in that courtroom. 2 years of social transition by the entire that party, and her youth council openly insults us and antagonizes us, calling us irresponsible parents and treating us like enemies. And that's Nazi attitude. They're genociding our family because,
Yes.
wait, I'll just knock you down even more. We
Yeah.
were called culturally unfit for raising our daughter in the present day of values of America.
Yeah.
And,
So you have gone public with your story. I know you and I discussed that you went on Steve Lance's show, my good friend from NTD News, sister company to the Epic Times. I've been on Yonda Kellick's show. He's a good friend, and I know you'd like to get on there too. But tell me what you've done, what kind of help you've gotten, and if you consider yourself a targeted parent, I think you definitely are. So
Judge
what?
Bigelow delayed possible due process, and she never ruled on disposition, like where the child is going till the end of August of last year. And before that, domestic violence restraining orders, TROs, multiple messed up documents, emancipation petition with forged signature, we believe, of our daughter was filed, and physical abuse was mentioned, but 4 months before, our daughter on record testified there wasn't. So it was a wake-up call for me to grab my son and flee California. We are hiding now in Florida, and our lawyers, we found out that they had been working with CPS, with the judge. They had planned probably our imprisonment. So we so much slander and libel, and we tried to get our daughter, petition to go with us. Judge Bigelow denied that, and her guardian ad litem openly said we abandoned, but we did not, and that's a lie. So they redetained her, never giving her back to us, so that the blatancy of impunity and absence of constitution in that kangaroo dependency court is just overbrimming, and is even more shocking than in Russia and Ukraine, something we never even think we would meet.
Yeah,
So we filed.
It is terrible, but tell me, like, who has helped you share your story? Have you gone to the U.S. government? Have you gotten any help or support? Has anybody listened to you? Do you feel like anyone's helped you?
We filed pro se in December. We went after that abandoned. We swore to each other we are going public. A lot. I have 10 unreleased interviews by influencers. So Epoch Times, Steve Lance, Redux, NTD, like I said, a WS, Wall Street Journal covered our story among Sage Blair and other parents. Went to GenSpect. I also was covered by Stella O'Malley, Mia Hughes, Matt Osborne twice. Buck Angel interviewed me and my husband twice. A lot of influencers. Unfortunately, Fox is not releasing my interview. CBN never reacted upon me. Neither did Daily Signal. They did, but they just disappeared. Daily Wire is kind of in the limbo. So we filed to all possible social services, national associations, social workers, of ombudsman, foster care, everything you can think of. I actually want to use a chance and present my Ukrainian mother's fight for her daughter Substack, and in every inch is detailed, and there is a chapter, I think it's called the final fiasco. It's one of the really first chapters I started writing back in November and December. It's called Diary of a Shattered Mother, the final fiasco. It actually has the initial, and that's maybe 19 steps. Right now we have board of psychology, medical board, and I was just footballed back. California, they don't want to investigate, neither Sager, the psychiatrist, no social worker. They don't even have social degree. They're like people from the street. So I filed tips to FBI. I did OCR. What not? No, I did not get any help. I tried to mail President Trump, his wife, RFK, the then AG Pam Bondi, Kash Patel. I tried everybody. Unfortunately, I am talking to you, pleading for help. Unfortunately, we don't even have a civil rights attorney to join our pro se because the case, I'm sorry, is so stinky.
Yeah.
We even suing Bonta. We are even suing Attorney General because the khaki California Abuse Children's Registry, where we were immediately sent to as abusers on the list without any prior calls, without any investigation, speaks for itself. So we are suing the unconstitutional blanket gag order, the khaki, the unconstitutional and unlawful, removal of our daughter, and everything else I just outlined. We have to make a difference.
America's founders warned that without knowledge and virtue, no nation can remain free. Yet through the steady infiltration of Marxist ideology, we have been stripped of both, and we are no longer a moral and educated people. To save America, we must spark nothing less than a national renaissance. That's why you need Freedom Talk magazine, the journal of truth and virtue. We cultivate enlightened thinking and principled living, offering unique insights into the issues and remarkable people defining our world. Sign up today for your free subscription to Freedom Talk magazine and join the new American Renaissance.
Yeah.
With what we are doing right now with you.
So I think we got in touch because you started seeing my ex posts, and you've seen that I've engaged. I founded Parents Demanding Justice Alliance. I've worked very, very hard on behalf of parents like me. And you've seen the DOJ's response. I'm going to play something here real quick.
The response, as well as the whole DOJ, was, we don't negotiate with terrorists. You do not threaten us.
Where was the threat? The threat was to say, we're just going to talk about how nothing's been done. Are you a terrorist? Do you think I'm a terrorist? I mean, does this shock you that the Trump DOJ, someone in an office would say about parents who are coming forward with concerns, we don't negotiate with terrorists? How does that make you feel? Were you aware, or when did you become aware that Merrick Garland had tried to, put a terrorist threat tag on parents like you and me who were concerned for our kids? When did you find out about that?
I did not know about it until you're just telling me, right? And on our phone conversation, but we feel exactly the same. We feel like enemies. We are presented as enemies. Our daughter testified against us, and she was overdrugged with horrible 4 psychotropes. It's on my Substack, Stockholm Syndrome or suborn perjury. When you are sitting in the courtroom and your daughter says that you are not a safe space, that you are a biological parent, that you know this and this, and you go by your last name, and it's such a kilograms or lbs of dirt, and the other side is condoning. And we were actually sent threats by her school, Phoenix Charter, and the CLC mafia NGO that filed against us with Sager. Their lawyer is Alan Long's supervisor wife, and she is the same law firm utilized by CPS. So the mafia is overbriming, and they want us in jail, and they sent us cease and desist twice. So Kelly, it's the same. And if I did not flee with my son, come on. It was a matter of 2 days to be in jail, and I'm aware of at least two parents in San Diego jail. One of them, Dina Sarkisova, she is also ex-Soviet country expat, and she is in jail fighting for her son for medical kidnapping. And they also filed a TRIO against her, and she's serving a sentence. Can you imagine what we have come to?
Yeah, it's so you just found out that Merrick Garland and the Biden DOJ were behind a lot of this. They were protecting these predators who have pushed this ideology on kids to separate them from the parents, to have them confide in teachers. We've had the drag queen story hours and all of the rest. So you just found out that was driven by the federal government. Now we come to find
I didn't know the name. I didn't know the particular names, like WPath. I knew, right? Marcy Bowers. And right now we are experiencing a revolution because FTC filed. And I knew that Biden's administration 100% did it. I knew.
And I'm going to say, I know you're going to do this, but if anybody's watching, if you go to realfreedomtalk.com, go to Parents Demanding Action tab, You're going to get a whole lot of information. So I had found out this information through research, and I'm in these emails that Merrick Garland sent between himself and the National School Board Association. I was one of the first parents targeted in the country.
Wow.
But you are too, and there are many of us. So I went to the DOJ. I have been talking to them. They have not done anything. So finally, after we met with, in the West Wing, members of Congress, everywhere we could go on behalf of parents like you, they just put us off and wouldn't do anything. So I ended up writing an article saying, these parents are desperate. Some of them have committed suicide from the stress. The targeting is still ongoing. The persecution is still ongoing. You don't have your daughter back. You're in hiding. So I tried to say, look, this hasn't been handled. Pam Bondi stood up before the Senate October 7th and claimed that because she rescinded the memo, everything's taken care of and done. And I said, no, it's not. We need restitution for the parents. We need an official apology. I've asked for a ceremony on the White House lawn to say that these parents are heroes, and for the federal government to officially acknowledge that they were unfairly weaponized against. We couldn't have that, but we had a big $70 million MMA match on the White House lawn. So I wrote an article and I said, basically, this is what we've experienced. And I am the founder of Parents Demanding Justice Alliance, and recognized as perhaps the most active person, certainly the most active targeted parent who's been pushing for justice. And in that article, I said, all these parents are pushing on me, and they're talking about demonstrating in DC. Some of them want to file lawsuits. They're pushing a lot on me. So I'm just going to say, if we don't have any news on anything, if there's not any progress made by January 15th, as a journalist, I'm going to go to the media and say, nothing's been done. I'm just going to report that, that this is really hard on the parents. Nothing's been done. So when I went up January 23rd, I had withheld on doing that because I got a meeting with this Vance Day. And so I sat in his office, and he cited that article and said, the position of the whole DOJ is we don't negotiate with terrorists. And that's where I said, where's the terrorism? I went and I just realized sitting there, it's the same thing that Merrick Garland did. You speak, you assert yourself as a parent, and they position you as a terrorist. Speech is not terrorism. And so I'm sitting there, and I heard other things like, well, we're going to do, we promised you a hearing. We haven't done it, but we're thinking we might do one around May to get a school hook, which I don't even know what that means. But I thought, okay, you're going to wait another 5 or 6 months and let these parents suffer. And he said, and we need parents who are squeaky clean. Parents, you can't be up there, Kelly, because you got arrested. And I said, wait a minute, that's a badge of honor. Those are the parents who stood up the most and suffered the most. And I realized as I'm sitting there, what this guy at DOJ is saying to me is, we don't want people to see how bad it is what the DOJ did to people. So we're going to sanitize this. And I said, you absolutely need to have people like me up there, and don't characterize us as terrorists. He also said that the DOJ was saying this is a state issue. There's no federal remedy. We're not responsible. And so for them to come back now and hold this fabricated so-called hearing where they excluded me and other targeted parents and say that's legitimate. Well, they curated who was going to talk and who wasn't. And they know very well that, as recently as January, they were trying to wash their hands of it and say, push it back on the states. But then they get up there with Kash Patel and Todd Blanche and Jim Jordan, who I brought this information about Garland in the memos and the emails to in 2023. And then they try to say, oh yeah, we're for the parents. And we've discovered that Merrick Garland set these parents up and targeted them. That's disingenuous, because I officially submitted to the government in 2023. It's on my website. I handed it to the new DOJ when Trump came into office. So what they've done is they've tried to ignore it and hope it would go away. Then they have tried to control it and hold a mock fake event, because how often do the perpetrators get to run the narrative? That's like telling victims of rape, you're not going to be included in this, and the perpetrators are going to run the show. And we're going to bring people forward who are just going to say, well, he winked at me, but nothing really happened. It's the same kind of thing. So now a couple people who came alongside me for Parents Demanding Justice Alliance, public figures, are going along with the administration and have sold out the parents. They're fine with people being excluded from the conversation. It was legal for me to record that conversation. I felt I had a civic duty to let people know what they're actually saying. But I'll tell you, Alexandra, you would think exposing their own words in context, by the way, and showing that this DOJ under Donald Trump, that under executive order is supposed to fix this for the parents, is still calling us terrorists. This should be front page news. And every Just the News, Steve Bannon's show, a whole lot of them would have me on. But as soon as I pointed back to the people that are in power now and said they're still protecting the DOJ, they're not doing anything for parents, a lot of them don't want to talk to me anymore. And here's what it is. It's a golden age for people who already have the gold. It's people who get in these career positions. They want to look as good as they can. They want to control the PR. The good thing is that I think people are starting to see through it, because they're seeing, like, these people who are pushing Todd Blanche. Oh, he's coming out of the gate swinging. He's a great guy. He's the best thing. He's arrested no one. He has not helped the parents at all. They haven't processed one case. The results aren't there. And what he's done is he'll do a few things because he wants the job. He'll do a few things to make it look like he's really on the ball. But something people neglect to understand, because Dan Bongino said, I think he slipped up on this, he said, the DAG runs the DOJ, the Deputy Attorney General, which is where Blanche has sat. He sat there when Bondi, and I also sat there in Van Stay's office, and he said to me, well, Pam Bondi's just basically a figurehead. She's like the chair of the board. She doesn't know the inner workings. And so everybody told me she spends most of her time in Florida. So what I'm saying is, Todd Blanche has run the DOJ for 18 months now. And you look at what's been done, and for our issue, it's been nothing. For our issue, they came forward with just a joke. Leah Hoops, one of the targeted parents, calls it kabuki theater. And what they want to do is say, we took care of it, wash your hands of it, and say, that's it's done, but it's not done. No. And we're going to expose these people who took up with the DOJ and took their side against the targeted parents. These people who did this are not targeted parents, and they presume to speak for us. And I know you and I have talked about this. Do you want anybody who's not a targeted parent speaking for you? I mean, Alexandra, do you want somebody who hasn't gone through what you have to speak out on your behalf instead of you being able to testify?
I want to be able to testify for myself, because who knows, my case better than I and my husband, And those people, they don't know this bleeding heart that wakes up from nightmares every night for 2 years, imagining her daughter coming to her and stretching out her hands saying, Mama, I'm home. I will never stop, and I will help you with everything I can, because whatever you just described on my level, on my little parent level, it's so familiar, especially, squeaky clean, like be patient, let's wait, it's so familiar. It's so familiar.
The experience I've had is that a lot of people in these offices, they act as if it's a privilege for you to talk to them. And well, I guess I can make the time, and lucky you. And I look at it very differently, because the way this government was founded was that we loan them our power. We make them trustees of our power, and they work for us. And somewhere along the way, our country's forgotten that. So if we dare challenge them, if we speak up, what they've done is they'll blackball you, they'll discredit you, they'll get you shadow banned, and it's not going to work, because we have so many targeted parents like you who are not going to be silent. And I'm just I'm thrilled that you're a fighter, and you're fighting for your daughter. You're fighting for my family. I'm going to fight like hell for your family. And I understand, because my two oldest sons stopped talking to me, and I shared something very personal this last weekend, that I wasn't even invited to my oldest son's wedding. And
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Look, I wrote a book for him and his brother. He loves Teddy Roosevelt, so I took him to see a Teddy Roosevelt impersonator. I painted a portrait of Teddy Roosevelt. For my son's 12th birthday, I went and researched and found Kermit Roosevelt, who's the closest living descendant of Teddy Roosevelt, and got him a Skype session with him. And just in every way, I was just a very, very good model father. And somehow, between the counseling culture and the media lying about me and the government demonizing me and having me arrested and prosecuted, he got very mixed up. And his biggest hero in life, he's dealing with all this anger and resentment, and none of it really has to do with me. But like I told you, my second oldest son came back to me. We reconciled. He's starting to see, and he said something that was just so beautiful to me. He said, "Dad, I don't know about all the politics. I'm not really into that, but I'm starting to see that you're a man of courage." And I can't push it too hard, because, he's in his early 20s. He doesn't want to hear, look, I don't want to be involved in politics. It's a morass. It's a sewer. It's terrible. But I sense that he's watching from the sidelines, and he's starting to get it. So I think there's always hope, and we're going to push for that. And I know some parents like Adam Vina who've had similar experiences, where Adam was divorced. His ex-wife started putting dresses on their little boy, and really cultivating this idea that, yeah, you're actually a girl. And because he wouldn't go along with that, and even his son would say things like, I'm not a boy. I mean, I'm not a girl, I'm a boy. The state took away his access to his little boy. So Adam will do things like, he'll do recordings on his son's birthday, and he just saves them up in the hope that one day he can send these to his son. So it's very, very sad, but you're not alone. We're going to help you. I wish I could help financially, but you've got to know a little bit of our story. We've look, because I've been vocal, our business was literally, the locks were changed on us, and armed security kept us out of our own business. We lost our home. They tried to put me in jail. I mean, they play hardball. And I knew something too, because we lived in Tucson. Derek Chauvin, who was, I think, wrongly convicted for George death.
He was.
They sent him to Tucson, and that's where he got stabbed 21 times by a shiv, because they knew that in Pima County in Tucson, the cartel runs the prisons. In fact, my oldest son went through Corrections Academy, and he told me all about it. So these people are dangerous. They have affected lives. And people don't know. They think, well, okay, well, some mean things were said about parents, and it's an ideological battle. No, I've worked a lot with the J6 community. David Summerall from Stop Hate, he knows. Some of us parents have been treated every bit as bad as all but the worst J6 victims have been. And the difference is this too, because Todd Blanche came forward with this ill-fated weaponization fund, which I think they knew was going to fail. I knew it was going to fail. Again, I have recordings on that. But
good for you.
Yeah. But I knew that it was going to fail. And what happened? One of the things that happened was, I'm very supportive of the J6 people who just went to make their voice heard. We actually fostered a little boy, Henry, while his mom was in prison, and took him into our house. But what happened with this weaponization fund was it became the J6 slush fund. That was the talking point. And that's not accurate, but also, the targeted parents like you and me, we became invisible. And so we lost any chance at having access to that fund, because everybody, like, I would post about what we went through, and I'd get these trolls and things saying, well, you shouldn't have been at the Capitol and you broke in. And I'm like, hey, do you realize I wasn't at J6? So there are also people who, like Michael Castellero, who was arrested for political reasons, who's waiting for a pardon, who's been sentenced to 10 years in prison, plus another year because he talked about what was going on and tried to get help. Even though he didn't get a gag order, the judge just decided to add a year because she didn't like that. She didn't think he showed enough remorse. So we have all of these people who haven't been taken care of. We have the DOJ constantly patting themselves on the back, saying, "Look what we've done." And I don't want to be critical. We were excited. We want the administration to succeed. We said, finally, Trump's getting in office. Some people are going to help us. But and I know Harmeet Dillon. She knows who I am. We've talked. She was in Arizona and represented a targeted parent. But Harmeet came out today with this video where she's smiling and saying, "Oh, it's a new day in parental rights because now if you are being persecuted, come to us. We'll prosecute these people." And my response was, "Harmeet, thanks for your work, but you've got a big line of people who have been sitting for months and months and haven't even gotten anything. Their cases are buried. So how can you promise this? You need to take the skeletons out of your closet first." But I'll tell you what happens. Instead of these people being honest and saying, "You know what, come in and talk to us. Let's talk this out. Let's work on a solution," they will treat you like you're the enemy because how dare you challenge me?
I know.
And I've had enough of it because, look, there's a journalist, and I'm debating whether or not I'm going to reveal her name, but who instead of reporting the story, became a go-between with the DOJ and said, "Todd, there's no way in hell Todd Blanche is going to talk to you because you recorded him and they said they can't trust you." And I said, "They can't trust me. It's in an executive order." And Bondi herself said when she was in office, she directed the DOJ that they had to restore the trust of the American people. So after we've been surveilled and persecuted and hounded and hunted down for years, I go up and legally record a meeting and then share their own words without even interpreting it, and I can't be trusted. Oh, I see.
Right. Same.
Yeah. So we're gonna get louder. We can't give this up. We can't quit because
no, we can't.
This is about family. And even if because I went through horrendous custody battle, people trying to attack me and take my kids away. And my two oldest sons, not my other kids. But as I was researching and watching it, I realized even a parent that maybe has some issues or has a criminal record, they still have a right to see their kids. And not to put you or me into that because we don't. I mean, I have a criminal record, but it's bogus. It's misdemeanors, by the way. But the point is that children are not mere creatures of the state. And just because the government may not like you, it doesn't mean you don't get to have your child. And it doesn't mean that the state gets to usurp your parenting rights.
Exactly.
I mean, that was a Supreme Court case that the Supreme Court justices said parents are not mere creatures of the state, and it established firmly that you have control over your kids' education, health, and decisions while they're a minor. So frankly, the state of California, all these people who victimized you, they are way outside of their powers, and it gets into the place of tyranny. So for all of these parents, myself included, nobody should be trying us again or speaking to our innocence or guilt. And this is where the DOJ's position has been, well, we're going to kind of retry these people because, this parent still has a warrant for their arrest. That parent, they looked bad in the media, so we're going to sanitize this. You don't get to do that. And particularly when they were trying to say it's a state issue, you don't get to comment as a federal agency on whether or not you think the state got it right. Your job is in black and white, in executive orders, in the will of the voters to right the wrongs. You don't get to sit there, DOJ, and decide who's squeaky clean and who's not. We are all squeaky clean. We're cleaner than the damn DOJ because we had the courage to stand up and do the right thing when nobody else would. So who is the DOJ that literally has all the blame for this, that's even admitted to it? Who is the DOJ to go to us and judge us, to evaluate us, to say this about somebody like me who's given up everything to fight for these parents, that you're not squeaky clean, Kelly, that you can't come. We're going to exclude you.
Oh my God.
I have trouble not spouting some 4-letter words right now, and maybe I should, but this is upside down and backward. And I'm sorry that, some people think, they've said, well, this Trump administration, they can do no evil. Other people say, well, maybe Trump doesn't know. I don't know, but I just know it's wrong. And I don't care. The buck stops at President Trump's desk. I've managed to get 2 different people to talk to President Trump, Roger Stone, Peter Tickton. So he does know, but I don't know if he know, do Todd Blanche and Kash Patel come to him and give him a shiny version of it, because we need for President Trump to speak directly to the people and stop talking through the go-betweens. And that's why I worked with David Summerall and others to try to create the People's Tribune Council, a group of people who would be tribunes in the Roman sense, because what happened was, long ago, I think it was something BC, the Romans got tired of being mistreated by the aristocracy, by the people in power, and they walked out of the city. And the way they rectified that was they appointed tribunes who would represent the common man and fight for them. And they could do things like, the tribune's home was always open. Anybody could walk in day or night. They got to veto decisions. Veto means I forbid. So they literally were intercessors for the people. So when abuses came, they could say, nope, we're putting a stop to this. So this is what we've wanted to do. We wrote a letter to President Trump. A lot of people said this is a great idea. So what we've wanted to do is have a small group of people who are these tribunes who will say, okay, they're going to arrest this Tina Peters lady. We veto that. And it doesn't mean we pardon them, but it means we're going to put a halt to this until we can look into this and see if they're being politically persecuted. I don't have the money or power to keep that going, but something like that needs to happen. But what I do have, and what you have, is a voice, and we have tenacity. And the harder they push against us, the more they try to censor us, the more we're going to keep coming back. And I just want to thank you for coming on today. I have to stop pretty soon here and have dinner and things, but we're going to talk some more. We need a fighter like you. And I know it's extremely painful, because I also wake up at night missing, well, fortunately now it's 1 son, not 2, but I miss him, and I can't talk to him and tell him you've got it all wrong. I've tried to before. But they get brainwashed, and they eventually have to grow up and have their frontal cortex develop and figure it out, which my 1 son did. So we'll be praying for you. We're here. Consider us like family. We're going to keep fighting. But I'll tell you one thing, Alexandra, it's really encouraging for me to have found you, because I see your fighting spirit, and I feel like we've got one more warrior on the line that's gonna keep going and overcome this evil, whatever it takes.
I'll bring a regiment. Thank you. I feel like God loves me, and I was getting desperate, these nightmares, but after I texted, I was in bed and I texted you the wrong number, but then I realized I was praying, and I saw her in a very beautiful dream that she came, hugged me, and she said, now we just can't live like we used to live before. Oh my God, she wrapped me into such a warmth. So you're a blessing, and you came down from heaven, and thank you. I'll bring you those parents. Trust me, they're waiting. They don't need lawyers to speak for them. No, we need ourselves. We are strong and vocal enough. And I do appreciate it. God bless. God bless your heart. God bless your family. God bless your children.
Please do bring them. And I want you to know that I made a solemn promise to God 6 years ago, after I was arrested for the first time in my life, simply for speaking. I said, God, I will give everything I have up to my life to help these people and to help my country. And to be treated like this by the administration that you had hoped would help it's unthinkable, and it's hard to express to people how difficult the daily life is when you're a targeted parent, and when you've done the best for your kids in your own country is trying to put that away. But somehow And it's hard to understand. We read in the Bible that, blessed are those who suffer for righteousness' sake. And we know that
Yes.
God's people are often going to be persecuted. And your feelings can be sometimes like, God, where are you? Why aren't you helping me? But in that suffering, there's a certain kind of blessing, and it draws people together. And it reminds us of what's important. So keep going. And thank you so much. It means a lot to me that you feel like I can help you, because I will do everything I can for you and your family, and bring the other parents. We'll get them on camera. We'll help them, and
I will.
we're not going to give up. So God
We'll
bless you.
negotiate how, but I will. They're waiting. Trust me, they're waiting behind my shoulder blades.
Okay. Well, you have my number. You have my email address. I'll talk to anybody and listen to their stories, and let's just keep going.
I have my own parental movement group in Facebook, and I will share our video, and I'll spread the word how to best and highest quality, to do it. Definitely. They're there for you.
All right. Likewise. Thank you. We'll talk soon. Thanks for coming on and telling your story.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.